Starlink has released some new official accessories in their store, including a new DC power brick option and a roof rack mount, among other things. Come and join us as we tell you about these new accessories and some that you may want to look into. Hi, I'm Dan from the Mobile Internet Resource Center. So Starlink has released several new accessories for both the standard and the mini dish that we're going to cover in this video. But just to give you a quick overview of what we're going to be looking into, there is now a new DC option for the standard dish. There's a new roof rack mount for both the standard and the mini dish that offers lots of configuration options. There's a custom backpack for the standard dish to take it with you and its accessories. There's a new X-frame base for the standard dish. And then finally, the Starlink Mini has a new 12-volt car kit available. It gives you everything you need to run your Mini right out of your car. So we'll go into each of those a little more in depth and tell you about them and which ones you may want to look into more. So the first accessory that's probably the most exciting to most nomads is that the Starlink Standard finally has an official DC option directly from Starlink. Now the mini dish came out recently and it offered some DC options right out the gate. But the Starlink Standard hardware back from the Gen 1 has never offered an official DC option directly from Starlink until now. So what Starlink is offering is a DC power pack that looks very similar to the AC power pack, but instead of accepting AC input ranges, it accepts from 12 volt to 48 volt DC. And this power brick will have a plug that will plug directly into the Starlink router and run your Starlink dish just like you always have been, except from a DC input. This is going to allow nomads to be able to run their Starlink without needing to run an inverter, which adds higher overload and just more use that you may not want to have the inverter on all the time. So the DC power brick option is definitely something that nomads have been asking for, especially if you have a standard dish and you've been wanting to do this without modifying it or using some third-party option for it. This power brick is coming in at $110 and is available in the Starlink store. Since Starlink now includes in-motion use on all Roam plans, and it's officially approved on all current hardware, including the Mini and the Standard, it's becoming increasingly popular to mount your Starlink on your RV, your boat, or your van. Now, there have been plenty of third-party options to do this, and Starlink even came out with the mobility mount that we covered in a previous video earlier this year. But now they have a new mount out that is kind of intriguing. This mount is called the roof rack mount, and it's designed to attach to most typical roof racks you may find on vans, SUVs, cars, and even some RVs. And what this roof rack mount allows you to do is attach to, of course, something that's already mounted on your RV or boat or car, and you don't have to put new holes in the roof. So this offers a lot of versatile mounting options. It has been available for the Mini for a little while, but they just released a version for the Standard. The Standard one's a little beefier since the dish is a little heavier, but it seems to offer the same adaptability to different size and width of rack mounts you may find out there. And the great thing, just like the mobility mount, is you're able to remove the dish from this mount very easily if you need to move it away from some trees obstructions or put it back on the kickstand. So this makes this rack mount very configurable for a lot of applications. Between the mobility mount and the roof rack mount, they vary in price between $35 to $68, so they're very reasonably priced. Check it out in the Starlink store depending on what dish model you have to see what options are available for you. While the Starlink Mini took the portability to a whole new level with its all-in-one design, the standard Gen 3 hardware is also very portable as long as you have a way to carry all the components along with you and protect them. Well, Starlink now has you covered with the backpack custom design to carry the Gen 3 hardware, the router, a power brick, a 16-inch laptop, and the purchase of this backpack even includes a shorter Ethernet cable about 16.5 feet long, so you can leave the longer 50-foot cable back at home, or maybe it's mounted somewhere. If you wanted to, you could even have the DC power supply that was mentioned earlier in this video along with you. So if you are still packing up your Starlink each time you move, or you want to take it with you away from your RV or boat, this backpack offers a great option to keep all your components together, protect the dish and the components, all for about $199 available in the Starlink store. The Starlink standard hardware is now in its third generation, and one of the most drastic changes from previous standard hardware was the removal of the motors and subsequently the pole and the base that it sat on. While the Generation 3 hardware doesn't really need the motors, and it comes with a kickstand, allows you to just basically set it up anywhere. This puts a dish right on the ground, kind of in everything. Could be in the weeds, could be in the mud, could be in the dirt. And it kind of took away from the ease of just setting up the previous generation hardware right on the base and the pole, and it sat a few inches off the ground, kind of keeping it out of stuff and made it a little bit more noticeable to people walking by or driving by not to run over your dish. If you prefer that type of setup, well, Starlink has an answer for you for the standard, and they now are selling what they call an X-frame base. So this is basically a base with 4 legs on it, a mast, and a pole adapter that will snap into the place of the kickstand and allow you to set up your Gen 3 hardware, Gen 3 standard, on a typical base as the first and second generation. Now, there is no motor in the standard hardware, so you are going to have to manually aim it, but as most people have seen, that's really not a big issue. You use the app and you kind of aim it and set it up to the best way possible. But this frame, this new X-frame base, the mast pole, will allow you to just set the dish up, and best of all, it all comes apart nice and easy. So unlike the previous hardware where the pole was sticking out the back, especially if you forgot to stow it, this all comes down to a nice small package to take with you. So for those of you that like just setting your Starlink on the ground and not having to climb a ladder to put on a pole or do other kind of setup, this X-frame base may make a great addition to your Starlink. The final accessory we're covering today is for the Starlink Mini, and this is a 12-volt mini car adapter. Now, while the Starlink Mini supports DC input ranges, it does not actually ship from Starlink with any kind of DC options included. It actually comes with an AC adapter and then a 50-foot DC cable. And people quickly figured out if they try to run DC power, 12-volt DC power into that 50-foot cable, it did not work because there was too much voltage drop over that long cable. Starlink then came out with a USB-C cable that allowed you to plug into a 20-volt, 100-watt USB-C plug, but most cars do not have this type of plug natively in their car. So now Starlink is selling this 12-volt mini car adapter kit. This actually includes the same USB-C cable, which is about 5 meters long, about 16 feet, but it also includes the cigarette lighter adapter that is necessary to get the proper amps needed to run the Mini directly from 12 volts. So you get both the little cigarette lighter adapter and the USB-C cable in this kit, and that'll allow you to run your Mini just about in any vehicle that has a cigarette lighter and accepts that kind of input. So if you want to take your Mini with you in a car, in a van, as you're traveling, this 12-volt mini car adapter takes all the guesswork out of it, and you can run it straight off a cigarette lighter in any vehicle, making it a great addition. It sells in the Starlink store for about $45. Starlink's popularity continues to grow, and the way people want to use their Starlink continues to expand. And so it's great to see Starlink themselves coming out with accessories to help meet these demands. While the third-party market has been pretty quick to come up with products to help support this, it's always great when the manufacturer themselves are coming up with their own products. And in this case, especially with some of the DC power options, if you have any issues with powering your Starlink over those options, of course, it's officially supported by Starlink, so they should be able to assist you. So let us know what you thought about these accessories we covered today. Were you looking for a DC option for your standard Starlink? How about the roof rack mount? Does that sound appealing for your van or car or truck, SUV you may be wanting to mount your Starlink on? How about the backpack and being able to pack up all the components of the standard Gen 3 hardware and bring it with you? There's also the X-frame base that may be attractive to some people that like the simplicity of just setting up their Starlink on the ground on a base and not having it down in the dirt. And finally, the Starlink Mini, which of course has been a very popular option in addition to people's arsenal. You now have an official 12-volt mini car adapter from Starlink to run your Mini in any type of vehicle. So you can grab it and bring it with you. As always, thanks for watching.
These videos are brought to you by our premium members, our mobile internet aficionados. They make it possible for us to track this news and create these videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, or better yet, consider becoming a member yourself.